there's what Jesus heard and what Jesus thought about when he heard, repent for the kingdom is at hand. Obviously, he had no cause to repent. That's why John didn't want to baptize him to begin with. But he says, we got to go through this process anyway because this is what God would have everybody go through. Despite people's expectations for the kingdom, and we just talked about what the people were looking for, what Jesus was looking for was much bigger than anybody else had in mind because the kingdom was bigger than what they could have anticipated. While people's expectations for the kingdom was born of the covenant, Jesus' expectations for the kingdom was born from creation. They were expecting something promised in prophecy and from the covenant, but Jesus' notions of the kingdom came from creation. The first 5 words of the Bible, Genesis 1:1 reads, in the beginning God created.
Yes.
To understand the Gospel of John as espoused by Jesus, one must understand creation as executed by God. For within the kingdom dwell the redemption of creation, or within the kingdom will creation be created anew. Say it again. To understand the Gospel of John as espoused by Jesus, one has to understand creation as executed by God, because within the kingdom is the redemption of creation, or recreation into something new. When the composers of Genesis were inspired to declare that God created, they intended to convey that he brought order to a state of chaos. Creation in the ancient Near East was not as concerned with the material origin of something, but more in the origin of its function. Whereas Greek creation searches for a big bang that brought substance of the universe into reality, the ancient Near East looked for a hand that gave form, function, and distinction to everything that existed. So, short version of that, anybody looking to find the Big Bang Theory in the Bible is looking in the wrong place, because that's not what they were trying to discuss. How did atoms, protons, neutrons, matter, and mass come into existence? Was there a bang? Anybody looking for that in Genesis will not find it, because that's not what they were speaking to, because at that day nobody cared how any of that stuff got there. Right. The only thing they wanted to know was, how did it get put together the way it is? How did it have the form, function, and distinction that it does? Because for them, nothing was real until it had form, function, and distinction. For us, reality or matter is something that has mass and occupies space. It's a physics-oriented scientific definition of where things came from. For them, reality was that which had form, function, and distinction. Thus, when God created the heavens and the earth, he gave form, function, and distinction to the cosmic formless void of chaos. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was void and without form. Without form. There was chaos. It was formless. It had not been ordered. It had not been structured. And then you see God go about the process of providing order to the chaos.
Yes.
Things existed in a state of chaos. He spoke into them, and they arrived in a place of order, and that is what it meant to create. That was creation as experienced and implemented by God, was to speak order to chaos, to assign form, function, and distinction to the chaos of reality. And it was very good. And then it was turned over to man. And man introduced disorder. It's another state of being. Chaos, order, and disorder. And within the order that God established was introduced disorder when earth was turned over into the hands of man. Thus we have disorder in a system that was once ordered, and the rest of the Bible, from Genesis to Jesus to Revelation, is the process of restoring order to that which was disordered or that which existed in chaos.